Good morning and welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I am your host, Stacy Brown.
Peace and love, everybody. I'm Niele Anderson, and we have some headlines to get into today. We're going to be talking about AI, its impact on us, and how the Trump administration is using it possibly as a weapon. We got some headlines about Nina Simone, Black farmers, and just everything else that everybody else might not be talking about.
Might not be talking about. But let's see what our producer's talking about this morning. What she got for us?
Hold on, Tammy. I want you to say this, what you just said to me on camera to the people of social media land, okay? Can you repeat that? I know I just paused you because I wanted to pull the camera out because I need to get this documented, okay? Okay. Here we go. Okay, go ahead, say what you saying.
I said that I am an anomaly. We were talking about how women are saying men have to make six figures or they got to be 6 feet tall or like all this stuff that, makes them only be looking for like 1% of men worldwide, right? And I said, I'm an anomaly. And not because I'm married. People get married all the time. Not even because I've been married for 24 years. I am an anomaly because I have been loved well. And you will be surprised how many women have never experienced being loved well, being respected well, being honored well by a man. So when you remove that, all there is to reach for is the six figures, the big house, the fancy car, the expensive bags, the trips, because I got to get something out of it. So when they don't understand that there is no value that can be placed on being loved well, they don't even know what it feels like. They don't even know what it looks like. So they reach for superficial things. Not to say you want somebody broke or you want somebody that has no, desire to do things for you. But I'm telling you, all of that without being loved well is whatever too.
So do you want to give me a thank you or gift? Go ahead.
What do you mean?
You say.
I mean, absolutely. Thank you for loving me well. But I don't think it's not all because of me. It's the man you are. Whoever you would have married, you would have loved her well. It's who you are.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm just fortunate. I'm blessed.
You look blessed to me.
Blessed.
I love you.
I love you for it.
Wow.
Yeah, that was Gerald and Tammy Hatton out of Detroit.
Okay.
That's Dietrich Hatton's brother. Gerald and Tammy Hatton are awesome praise and worship leaders. They used to be my praise and worship leader at the City of Refuge here in LA under Bishop Noel Jones. They're now in Atlanta. They have three beautiful sons. And it is true. And she's not lying. The love that they have for each other and the partnership. When you say partner, they truly have a partnership. They co in everything, in love, in business, in ministry, and in friendship. And they are a great example of what Black love looks like, truly.
Now, watch you show up next week with a secret family.
Oh no, I mean
I'm
I'm saying
kidding.
yeah, I get it,
I'm
yeah.
kidding.
But a lot of people say things,
Mhm.
but I've actually seen them just from a
Yeah.
Sunday to Sunday
Right.
situation. And even when they don't get along, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, just how they manage that. And they're real good friends with Gerald is a member of the Soul Seekers, which is a part of Erica Campbell and the Mary couples. They're all in that whole gospel world.
Yeah, and so really, jokes aside and seriousness aside, well, not seriousness aside, but the point there, though, regardless of who they are, it's great to see that. I hate that, like she said, she's basically an anomaly, meaning it doesn't normally happen. That should be the norm. I hope that for my daughters, my sisters. I try to do it, be it for my wife. Um, you want that, and we talk about black love all the time, and that's what you want to see in everybody. You want the wife to be able to say that with all sincerity, and it was no question. She was extremely sincere. and she meant every word that she said, and you want to see that.
Yeah, and it's one thing to hear it, but to actually see it demonstrated. And that is my point about them, is that
Hmm.
she's saying it, but I've actually seen the demonstration. And this is like maybe over the course of 20 years.
Hmm.
And her being obedient to her husband, even like, picking up and moving to Atlanta, and even him making space for her, especially in a male dominated faith, right? You have so many male pastors, and, women are just breaking through, but just watching them evolve from, singing to ministry and to partnership. And they also are a part of, if you really want to talk about the love and displaying and seeing it, they're also a part of Holly Carter's Preachers of Atlanta. So they're one of the couples on Preachers of Atlanta, if you want to see them demonstrate how they do their relationship.
Yeah, I think, and I get that point. I think it's more than just their worship or who they worship and how they worship. I think again, it's about the fact that you have a couple who love and respect each other, who show that love to each other. It's an example for everybody, really, regardless of faith, regardless of anything. We don't see that. We see a lot of complaints on social media, right? So he put it on. He said for the social media folks, because you see it on social media, women complain about men, black men complaining about black women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is refreshing to see.
Well, it's refreshing to hear, but it's even better to see it. And that's my
Mhm,
point, to see it.
mhm.
You could say something, we could say things all day long, but we don't know if we're really walking the walk or talking the talk. But my
Yeah.
point is that you can see it.
Mhm,
I seen it through going to church with them in
mhm,
ministry and just seeing them. I'm saying that the people can actually see what they're talking about as a
mhm.
demonstration to back up what you just saw on their show. You know what I'm saying? Or
Mhm.
if you just are around them. So it's
Right.
good to hear them say it, but to actually see what she's talking about and to
Mhm.
know what she's saying is actually backed up by how they live their lives every day. I mean, it was real talk.
But
That's
here's my
great.
question to you. Do you agree, right? If a woman is loved well, if she has been loved well in her life, you know, is having a bag and having all of these things, these material things, are they, do you think that that plays a part in why women seek these material things in relationships?
I mean, I think it's a combination of things. I mean, there are some women that are loved well. There are some men who are loved well and they still cheat. I mean, so I think it depends on how you're loved, but I also think it also depends on your upbringing, how your parents loved you, how your mother loved you, how your father loved you.
Yeah,
I
right.
think
That's
all
what
of
she's
those
saying.
things,
I'm saying that's what she's
yeah.
saying. She has been loved well in her life. And so, when you have been loved well, those things just don't, you know, they don't become so important for you, right?
Hmm. And
Yeah,
then,
those
and then
material things.
Tammy, yeah, I mean, and they have a good life too. I mean, I think it also depends because, she was like, the struggle. You can have all the love in the world, but sometimes the struggle may outweigh the love. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things, and they have a good life. They have the
Well,
finances to back it. But if you take away the finances, it could be a totally different situation and you still could have love.
right. The love. People say you can't live on love, but the love does help when the struggle comes. It helps a whole lot if it's
Uh-huh.
true love and it's love like what she's describing there, being loved well. So yeah, I think it does outweigh. It does help big time the struggle if there's a struggle to be had, and everybody has a struggle. Whether it doesn't have to be financially, it could be any other way.
Right.
So.
And if you want to really like expound on this more, they also had a conversation with the Bryants, Jamal and his wife. and they really went into a deeper conversation about the clip that we just showed. Just, I don't even think they were giving advice to couples that, might be, just together or getting through marriage. But it was just, some insight, just like that conversation right there about, relationship and finding your person, your partner, and even how we get away from the term marriage, right? Husband, wife, now it's partner, because that brings a whole different psyche to the relationship, right? Your husband and wife, but this is also my partner who I just don't love, but I go through life with in all scenarios and situations.
Interesting stuff, folks. Interesting way, good way to start the morning, isn't it?
What do you think about the term partner, Stacy?
Listen. I'm old school. It's husband and wife. Partner doesn't suggest marriage to me, and so I'm old school. I husband wife.
No partner for you, huh?
No, no. Partner doesn't suggest.
I think I know what you're saying, but and I felt that way at one time, but now it's like, when you think about it, it's like a partnership is something that husband and wife kind of puts, the positioning in the household, which we get it. God is the head, husband, wife. We get it. Partnership to me suggests that it's more than that. It's like we're doing this thing together. We're doing, whether it's business, whether it's love, whether it's family, it is a partnership.
Mhm.
I don't know. What do you think, Chad? What do you call it? Your husband? Is it your wife, or is it your partner? Or is it all of the above?
Oh gosh, yeah,
But
that'd
at
be
the
interesting.
end of the day, it has to be centered in what? Love.
We can live on love. Here we go again. Um, it's a good question. It'd be interesting to see what the chat has to say, Niele. Also, this morning, as RNG immediately logs in this morning and talks about the hater in chief that sits at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. It's really sad. I saw so many statements about the death, the murder of Rob Reiner, and understanding too how devastating this is for the family of he and his wife, especially considering that the suspect in this is the son. The president of the United States decided once again to spread some vitriol that is just so outrageously disgusting, and then doubling down on attacking Rob Reiner, basically, basically saying, "Who cares?" And really worse, he didn't say directly that he deserved it or whatever, but he pretty much said it. I mean, this guy is off the chain. And all I can say, Niele, is just a couple of months ago, Charlie Kirk was murdered. And it was like almost like a court martial to say anything negative about Charlie Kirk. But here, this president is trying to lead, and good thing to even like those staunch, some real staunch Republicans, some real staunch, not just Republicans, but right wingers and even racists are saying that no, this is wrong for the president to have said this about Rob Reiner.
Yeah, Michelle Obama appeared on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and she said, "Let me just say this. Unlike some people, Rob and Michelle Reiner are some of the most decent, courageous people you ever want to know. They're not deranged or crazed." And of course, she was referring to what Donald Trump said. I mean, and that's what we have to focus on, not the crazy and deranged, but the sensibility that we still have. I find it interesting. I had a couple conversations with some white men yesterday, colleagues, and I could just hear in their voice how embarrassed they were. You know what I'm saying? Because that, just like sometimes we are embarrassed for our people, they are embarrassed by this man. But the question is, are they embarrassed enough to do something about it? Because, that was sticks and stones. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but it's what he's doing to this country. Like, we need you to respond to that. Not
Mhm.
This is sticks and stones. There are, issues that hopefully they will begin to speak up and resist this man.
Yeah, Dr. Nicole says it still baffles me how his supporters continue to justify his words and actions. It is mind-boggling. And that's just the way it is. At some point, like you said, like a lot of times, it seems like it's mostly us black folks. When a black person does something out of pocket, we as a community together feel it. We kind of feel embarrassed or whatever. But this country at some point has to feel embarrassed. Like I said, even before this guy was elected, when we were in Europe, we were in London and we were in Paris, and we had several people while he was running was even asking that question. Aren't you Americans embarrassed to have this guy running? And I'm like, listen. They only saw like the sound check. They didn't even see the concert. This is the
Right.
concert.
Well, they saw the concert the first go around,
Yeah,
right?
they did. They did. They
You
saw.
know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And they're like, y'all going for the encore? It's like,
Yeah, it's
ooh.
just it's just crazy. I saw this morning, it's we're going to talk about AI a little later, but it's really scary how they are beginning to push stuff on social media in our face. When I looked at my phone this morning, all I saw was this Vanity Fair article of Trump's inner circle. I don't know if it was going all up and down your timeline, but it was from Vanity Fair, and it's these very provocative, pictures. It looks like the White House. It just looks like it stinks to me. Like it smells real sour, right? That's what it looks like to me. And these very, distinct, defined pictures of Stephen Miller and the chief of staff and JD Vance, and and I don't know if they're very provocative about it, but this is what the world is seeing. And just as they are mind boggled by what is happening in this country, just imagine how black folks feel. I ain't talking about no other race, but how we feel. This is like terror. Like the KKK is running the country.
Mm. Listen, I never watched the show NCIS before. And last night I caught an episode of NCIS, and guess who was on it? George
Donald Trump.
W. Bush.
Oh,
And I never knew that he actually appeared on that show.
and what
And he
capacity?
as the president, and
Okay.
he was on Air Force One, and then it was really interesting. I'm thinking, wow, it's a shame when you think back that those were the better days.
Well, look, don't let Trump see that, because he'll be calling the president of CBS telling about, I want to be on that show next. Okay. Make space for me with his
I had
crazy
never watched
deranged
that show.
self.
I was so surprised when I saw President Bush with a speaking role, not just just a wave or whatever, a speaking role at the beginning, and then at the end he had a speaking role. I was like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Folks, of the many civil rights related cases brought before the U.S. Supreme Court this year, Louisiana versus Callis has the potential to completely disenfranchise Black and Brown voters right before the 2026 midterm elections. It is an effort that had been born from MAGA Republicans and Trump's ongoing redistricting movement. Stacey Abrams, in an interview with The Root, talked about how vital this Supreme Court case is. She says that this decision could undo decades of hard-won progress on civil rights for our communities, and the consequences are clear. Hundreds of seats erased, millions of voices silenced, and virtually no democratic path to reverse the authoritarian path our country is on. This case specifically focuses on Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which is the central safeguard against racially discriminatory redistricting. And Stacey Abrams' group reported that the consequences would certainly be grave if the High Court guts this historic section, including the potential to set black folks back all the way to the dark days after Reconstruction. So, this targets black voting districts in Louisiana and elsewhere.
Well, definitely fair fight action is all over this, as well as Black Voters Matter. And what they're saying is that this Supreme Court ruling could let Republicans redraw maps to eliminate, check this out, 191 state legislative districts currently being held by Democrats in the South. And of course, that includes Louisiana, in other southern states. And so that's what I'm saying. As we talk about the sticks and stones, this is really the meat and potatoes. And this is really what we need to be paying attention to as we talk about and as we're uplifting the work that Black legislators do across this country. This right here can really, gut the work that they're doing. And so we have to pay attention to this and not just pay attention to what's happening in these congressional races. They're also going after the state seats as well.
This they told you they were going to do it. They like I said, some of these folks had to have been born, came out their mom's womb with the KKK hood on. They had to. It's like simple as that. Goodness grief. Good morning, Sandra Brown Jones. Destined forever, Sandra. Stephanie Humphries. They're not embarrassed enough to do. She says they're not embarrassed enough to do anything. It is mind-boggling. Talking about Trump supporters. It's just the way it is. It's just, Marjorie Taylor Greene seems to be. so we'll see how that lasts. Not Stacey Abrams. Our girl, Jasmine Crockett has apparently reached out to her and has seen where she sits. Wants to know, is she serious? And if so, they could talk.
In the words of Master P, is she about it?
Is she about it? Well, we'll see. And Jasmine, she wants to find out, Niele, if she about it. So we'll see. Georgetown University Center for Youth Justice is joining Prince George's County, Maryland's Legislative Black Caucus and the Maryland Department of Juvenile Services in their efforts to honor the 200 plus Black lives buried in a recently discovered abandoned grave site. The Forgotten Children Initiative says it is committed to honoring the memory of incarcerated youth buried in abandoned and lost burial grounds throughout the United States. The Maryland Department of Juvenile Services rediscovered the burial sites of 230 Black children who died while confined to the House of Reformation and Instruction for Colored Children, which was a segregated state-run juvenile detention in Prince George's County. They found more than 230 boys died between 1870 and 1939, and they just discarded them. Discarded the bodies.
Yeah, we talked about this. I think it's a story out of New York. The same story last week, similar. This happened all across our country. I think in Central Park in New York, burial ground. When you look at Washington, D.C., this is Black people souls have been disregarded across the United States of America. And it's so important that we uplift these types of stories just so that, just for humanity purposes, their lives matter. That's why we say Black Lives Matter, because of examples like this. This is why we say it. And so it's not saying that nobody else's lives matter. It's that Black lives matter. And too many times in this country, Black lives have been disregarded by racist white folks.
That's of course, that's a good point, because that has, just like everything else, just like the phrase woke, they've turned that to be such a negative thing. And during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, folks intentionally Intentional. It's like with Colin Kaepernick. They intentionally claimed that he was protesting the military, which he was not. Black Lives Matter, the slogan was not, it was no statement on white folks. It was no statement on anybody else. It was simply a statement that, as you just put it, hey, we matter too. Our lives matter too. And folks they got in their racist feelings.
Yeah, the stories like this, I mean, it exemplifies why Black Lives Matter. You know, those 200 Black boys found abandoned in a Maryland graveyard, their lives mattered. They have a story, they had parents, and they have legacy. Somewhere in America, their and their offsprings, or you know, their lineage is thriving and living in this country. And it's important that we know that. And it's important that even if they're spirits, you know, their lives matter.
Dr. Nicole said there's a book and a movie about this very subject, The Nickel Boys. She says she read the book but have not watched the movie yet. Interesting. So there's one.
Let's search that out on Tubi.
On Tubi.
Let's start at Tubi and then work our way around.
And look, Aquarius says that's sad that Jasmine decided to reach out to Ric Flair. And RG says, I am sick of the free Palestine people coming for Jasmine Crockett. Why don't they go to the White House and protest? Yeah, that's an interesting thing that they are coming for Jasmine. When she hasn't taken any of the AIPAC money or anything like that.
She hasn't?
No, she has not.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Well, and that's like the one of the only ones, right? It's like maybe about 3 or 4 of the 300 or 400 some odd Congress people who have taken it. So yeah, I don't think she's taken any of that money. I think she stood on that. But nonetheless, they have been coming for her because they're gonna find something. They want to find something out, put it that way, to complain about.
And it's like what sticks, right? We know now we live in a society where you could put a lie out and it'll go viral on social media. And if people don't fact check it, if people don't flag it, it circulates like truth. And so we just have to be very careful as to what we put out, because it could just be, if it goes around long enough and if it's passed around long enough,
right,
people will begin to believe it.
Yeah, Nancy Wall said that's what they did to Kamala, trying to throw her off track. Why don't they do that to the white folks? She said. I saw something, Niele. I don't know if you've seen this. There's a homeless, unhoused person in Washington, D.C., who has been leading the protest against the Heritage Foundation, going to the Heritage Foundation's office building, and others have been, random people have joined him, and every time an official from the Heritage Foundation comes by, and he's even gone to Union Station, following some of them to Union Station, and he's got a bullhorn, and he's embarrassed them.
I put that in the chat.
Put that in the chat. Okay.
Yeah, I said he's become my new favorite follow.
There you go. It was you who did that. Okay. Yeah, that was, I find that hilarious. So interesting. Yeah.
I mean, he tickles me. I mean, I don't care if you black. I don't care if you white. I mean, and he cusses their ass out.
And the black guys, you see, he went in on the black security guys.
Yeah, and the black man that was walking into the Heritage building, I was like, okay, this is what I'm talking about.
He said, "You all right working for the Klan, for the Ku Klux Klan?"
And really, he was just doing his job. Okay, his detail might be in front of the African American Museum one day. You know, he's just doing his job. But at the same time, it was the black man that was going into the building that he shredded too, rightfully so.
Yeah, right. He shredded him to pieces, didn't he? Oh man! And then there was this one white woman who didn't. She's walking. She didn't know how to handle. She was mortified.
Just kept walking straight. You know, that's what you call a white ally.
He was not playing. And he's exercising his freedom of speech.
I'd invite him to my cookout. I would
Uh-oh.
give him a rib plate. Yeah, he deserves it. The way you guys have to see it. Maybe tomorrow, Greer can play one of his clips, but it's in our chat, Greer. But I mean, when I tell you he knows how to read his people, you know how black folks know how to read black folks. He knows how to read white folks. Okay, he has those white folks sometime read. Okay,
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
mortified.
Yeah. And he calls them fascists and Nazis, and even the National Guard that was out there. What are you doing here? The military personnel too. I mean, what are you doing here? And how do you feel about breaking the Constitution? This guy was like all over all of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the fun parts though about being in DC too, is how people exercise their freedom of speech. And I think it's even more so now. Like you can walk downtown and you'll find people dressed up. You'll find protests happening just randomly on a Tuesday at 11 a.m. You know, as you're walking through DC, they have the Donald Trump air balloons, Orange
Mhm.
45. It is just such an interesting thing to see, but also, you know, it's encouraging to see that people are resisting and they are getting the permits to do it, and they're exercising their First Amendment rights, something that we know Donald Trump wants to take away from us.
Yeah.
So kudos to him and all of the protesters in DC that are out there doing it every day.
Yeah. Orange 45. You said what did you say?
Orange 45. Oh, he's
Um,
47 now. Is he 47 now? Yeah, he's
Now he's
47 now.
47. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I
Orange
mean, you got it right.
47.
45, 47. There you
47.
go.
Mhm.
All right, folks. While Nina Simone's legacy continues to echo through her music, the African American Cultural Heritage Action Fund is preserving the physical space that helped shape the iconic singer's life and artistry, her childhood home. Built in the early 1900s, the three-bedroom, 650 square foot home is where Nina lived with her mother, father, and 8 siblings between 1933 in 1937. It was long abandoned and at risk of demolition, but it was saved when a collective of Black artists, including Rashid Johnson, Adam Pendleton, Ellen Gallagher, and Julie Moretto, purchased the home. It's not yet open, but the Action Fund anticipates welcoming visitors in 2027. So they are preserving the home, the childhood home of Nina Simone.
Oh, that looks like a nice visit. It makes me want to have a glass of sweet tea and sit in a rocking chair for a minute. You
It's a
know,
lemonade.
put on some Nina Simone in the background, and just think. When I see places like that and I'm in spaces like that, I look at the trees and think about how old they are, and what ancestors walked this path. That's what that house looks like, a nice house to reflect.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's again, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. Because a few weeks ago we talked about them maintaining those plantations and slave quarters, and I'm like, it was
It was
Emmett
Emmett Till's
Till's,
barn, the barn
yeah,
Emmett Till was murdered in.
and I'm like, but this is something I can get with Niele. I can get with this.
I mean, but I think it all makes up the Black experience. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so all like the pain, the tragedy, the triumphs, the history. I mean, it's all a part of our experience. And it's important that they don't erase it, because that's exactly what this administration is trying to do. They're trying to erase what they did to Emmett Till. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we will never forget. And the way that they're acting now, it's so important that we don't forget, because they're trying to take us back there.
Yeah, and
It's
Dr. Mar
yeah. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Dr. Marilyn's asking where. It's Tyrone, North Carolina. Yeah.
Think
Yeah,
that.
isn't that something? Wow. Well, yeah,
Well,
I wasn't sure either. MB 8905 Oh yeah, I know who you are. I says I didn't know where she was from. I didn't know either. It really, to be honest with you, until this story.
Mm.
So
Well, there you have it. What somebody
yeah.
he says, what a talent. And Dr. Marilyn says, thank you, Stacy.
Anytime
uh,
for Dr. Marilyn. Anytime.
right. In more headlines, let's head to where I'm at, Los Angeles, where Mayor Karen Bass has formally begun her campaign for re-election. Now, Black leadership showed up, from the unions to Black church leadership, and all in between, as Bass promised to make the city safer, more affordable, while positioning herself as a candidate who will take on the Trump administration. However, we know she still faces the shadow of the unprecedented wildfires at the top of the year and a high unhoused problem. And so, and we don't know if, big money man Rick Caruso is going to jump into
Yeah.
the campaign as well. And I think he's either looking at this seat, the mayor's race, or the governor's race. Which is getting extremely crowded. But nevertheless, Karen Bass is back into play. And of course, she has the support of, the LA Sentinel, which is a member of the Black Press. I know for sure. I don't know about the Wave and our Weekly. I know she has the support of LA Focus, Lisa Collins. And so everybody's going to do what they can. A lot of Black pastors showed up for her. They prayed over her. And so she has a very hard uphill battle, not to mention with the Olympics coming, the World Cup. That's a lot of money and a lot of power. And you know how white men feel about that. So let's keep her prayed up and, all
Yeah,
that.
MB says she understands the problems behind being homeless, or we say unhoused. And but it's going to be an uphill battle for Karen Bass. I think even more so this time than when she left Congress to run for mayor. I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be
Yeah,
tough.
they're gonna, whoever she's running against, they're gonna use those fires against her. And the
Yeah.
way that or the lack of the way she handled it when she first came back from Africa was very problematic for her office. And she's tried to regain some steps from that mishap. But you could best believe you're going to see a lot of commercials about that. And it's a lot of people in Malibu that are highly still pissed off about that situation in their homes. So money talks in elections. Money talks.
Dr. Marilyn says, Care Bear Karen.
But she wants to keep that spot. And I don't see and another problem that she has now is that she's invested millions into the police department. And a lot of people would like to see those funds reallocated in a different way as we look at public safety. So she does have an uphill battle, but for the most part, she does have the support of the Black community here in LA, which will be critical to help push it over for her for the win.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. It's going to get juicy, folks. Let's head to Black farmers who said they will not opt into Donald Trump's new $12 billion federal farm aid program. And they're saying that it's due to its racial undertones. Now, the Black Farmers and Agriculturalists Association said it is declining the Farmer Bridge Assistance Funds. Even though it typically backs efforts to assist farmers, the group's president, Thomas Burrell, called the program racist and said persistent discrimination and unequal treatment of African-American farmers made participation unacceptable. And so they're not opting into it. I don't know what this will mean for Black farmers, but there you have it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of language in this and opted in that, quite frankly, historically has led to Black people losing their land, their properties and stuff. And so they're just not going to fall for the okie doke again.
Right.
No
banana in the tailpipe.
Right. You can dangle the money all you want, but in the end, they would lose if they feel they would lose big time if they opted in. So
yeah,
they stand in their ground.
They're standing their ground. And, we know that Senator Raphael Warnock out of Georgia was a huge advocate and was able to move 2 pieces of legislation to support Black farmers. But all that kind of is in limbo now because Republicans run Congress, they run the Supreme Court, and of course, they run the White House.
Right. There you go.
And so let's talk about Head Start and other early childhood programs. They're being told to remove a list of 200 words and phrases from their funding applications, or their applications could be denied. Now, some of the words include Black, disability, female, minority, trauma, tribal, and women. So if you want funding for Head Start, you can't use any of those words.
You know, again, it's just another reason why it's what we do here, regardless of the detractors, regardless of the racists, regardless of the insane. It's so important. Black owned media needs to really, everybody in Black owned media, I don't know what has been stopping Black owned media from coming together, because this erasure is real.
It's real.
And you got to be able to document this in the proper way. It can't, it's no shade against others, no shade against the entertainment focus outlets that are Black owned at all. But we have to, the dancing and shucking and jiving and stuff, we got to be serious. We got to be serious. And unfortunately, I don't think we have enough folks who are in media, enough Black folks who are in media, who have that uh, you know desire to come together, who have that real will to come together, understanding that it's life or death. And it's just so unfortunate. It really is so unfortunate to
Yeah.
sit and watch this thing burn the way it's burning. And we have the tools, Niele, to put the fire out for us. But because of not acting, because of being selfish, among so many other things I can name, we're sitting here, watching this stuff burn down. We have the power to do something about it collectively. This is why I'm so critical. And I know you said, I don't doubt what you're saying, what you have said about this, but I'm so critical of Black billionaires and those with the wherewithal to say, hey, yeah, I give here, but we need to make sure that our media is taken care of. We need to make sure that they are still able to, because when push came to shove back, during the civil rights era, all those cats, King and all of them, Abernathy, you name it, Malcolm, they all turned to the Black press and Black owned media. They all made sure that they stayed strengthened because they knew how important that was. From 1827, in slavery, when those two brave Black men started Freedom's Journal, there was this rallying cry behind that. And you know how dangerous it was to rally behind it then.
Mm-hmm.
That's my spiel right now.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, what you're saying is 100% true. But I mean, true, we're also a community of faith. And if you do the work, God will make a way. He will. And I'm a firm believer of that. So yeah, I mean, are we our brother's keepers? We need to be. Yep. But I believe that if your intent is right, your heart is right, and you do the work, and you make, they say luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And so as long as we keep showing up and we keep doing the work, things will happen. I mean, and you have to believe that, and it might not be a billionaire, a black billionaire.
Right, right.
It might be a Mackenzie Scott. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But
Mm-hmm.
you just have to keep doing the work, and you have to keep putting the call out like you just did. You have to keep, what you're saying is so important, because a lot of times people don't know. People just assume that you're going to be here every day bringing the news. They just
Mm-hmm.
assume that you're going to keep. They don't really know what's happening. So it's important that you say that, but it's also important that we stay encouraged to know that we're doing the good work. We're doing the
Yeah.
legacy work. We're doing the Ida B. Wells work. We're doing the
Mm-hmm.
Frederick Douglass work. We're doing the Freedom Journals work. We're doing the work. And so that's just as important as well. But it's also important for you to just keep reminding folks how important it is that they support Black media.
Yeah, Patricia Jackson says it's too many with that "I got mine" syndrome, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I've always said that, Patricia. I've always noted that it's too
Yeah.
much of that.
Yeah.
And
So,
we have tended to, and I remember growing up, we tended to criticize or joke about uh, Latinos and other cultures that would come uh, to New York to America, and it'd be 20 of them in the house, living in the house, because they were looking out. They were looking out for each other. It was like pooling their resources, and then next thing you know, those 20, probably 10 of them got their own houses eventually. They got their own businesses eventually,
mhm,
because they helped each other out. They were able to sustain by coming together, being a little uncomfortable at first for a little while, and then bang, they prospered.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you build something that the people need and want, they're gonna come. And so true too, like we just have to keep building a space that people will come to because they know that the truth is here.
Hmm.
And so that's what we'll continue to do. And one of those ways that we're going to have to figure out how to do it is through AI or with
Hmm.
AI as well. And so there are some things that are happening under the AI umbrella that is very critical, that we should be paying attention to. And starting off with that is the Trump administration has just unveiled a new initiative called U.S. Tech Force. Now, the admin is looking for 1,000 engineers and other specialists who will work on artificial intelligence infrastructure and other technology projects throughout the federal government. Now, the participants will commit to a 2-year employment program working with teams that report directly to agency leaders in collaboration with leading technology companies. And this is according to the Trump admin's website. Now, the private sector partners include Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, Oracle, and others. And the initiative was announced 4 days after Trump signed an executive order aimed at establishing a national AI policy framework and banning states from crafting their own regulations. Why is this story important? Because number one, if the Trump admin is picking the 1,000 engineers and other specialists, they're not going to be people of color. We know that. And we know that AI, whoever is building it, it could be built on biased information. So it's even the people that are creating these programs, it's how they perceive minorities and people of color. Okay. And so this is important that we have a stake in how the government is beginning to really build our entire technology infrastructure on a white bias. That is huge that we should be paying attention to. Not to mention, when Donald Trump was inaugurated, the entire tech companies were all behind him. So, guess what? They're pushing this agenda, and
Hmm.
it ain't for our benefit.
Of course not.
And so that's why Democrats, in another story, Democrats are warning of biased algorithms that could worsen inequity, and they're reintroducing the AI Civil Rights Act. Now, the bill would create guardrails to prevent AI systems from reinforcing inequality. Now, cited research shows that the risk is real, from biased resume screening tools to systems that treat Black perceived names differently, especially names perceived as Black women, creating significant disparities in opportunity. And so when you think about what the administration just announced, right? They're getting 1,000 probably white male dominated folks to build these systems, right? Then they're telling the states that y'all can't do no regulating. This is federal.
Mhm.
You can't have anything. They are setting us up for the big fall. And this also goes to what you were talking about, Stacy, because it's all interrelated, you know, with
Yep.
media, how we're using AI, who's creating the AI to help
Mhm.
create these stories. This is setting us up, folks. And if we don't pay attention, and all of this stuff can be fixed, rectified, or safeguarded if how we look at what we do in 2026 with the midterms from a state and federal level. It's all connected.
Yeah. Mike V says the civil rights of Black people will be violated when law enforcement start using criminal data to police Black people, considering stop and frisk was illegal in New York. Dr. David Child says, I like that you, Niele, said that AI can be built on misinformation.
It truly
Uh,
can.
it
And
truly can.
biased information. Biased
Yep.
information.
Yep. And MB says states need to regulate AI. They do. And just a going back just a moment, RNG, there's a comment I did want to raise up among others, but this one I'll raise up. He says, keep it real. It's talking about the Latinos and others that I mentioned. He says a lot of them make good money off the Black community. They open up corner stores in Black neighborhoods and they don't reinvest into our communities. They keep all of their money. And that's a problem. Absolutely. That is a problem. But to your point now with the AI, um, that misinformation part. And this is what so that entity, that clan, they're feeding them that misinformation, and it goes back. Our reporting, our story is so important that we tell it, because soon it would be like foreign to everybody. Our
But
story would be so foreign.
yeah, and that's the difference of telling this story of AI, how it's supposed to revolutionize us. What really it's doing is it is disenfranchising us, because we talked about Head Start and keywords that they're telling people that you can't use to apply for grants. But what they're doing, folks, is they're creating a government infrastructure through the Department of
Yep.
Education, through HUD, through every branch in our government. They are creating the keywords, the key phrases of how, if you even call them, how they will interact with you. They're creating this whole system based upon AI with all of these technology giants. Not one of them is Black owned. Not one of those companies is Black owned, or okay, minority owned. Forget Black, minority owned.
Hmm.
None of
Hmm.
them are minority owned, and they are creating the infrastructure, the new infrastructure of our government. The new infrastructure of our government, who will need less human interaction, and it's going to be biased against people of color. We're going to be back at square one. Where's Brian McKnight so he can sing the song? We back at one. So yeah, AI is good to put your look, but it is very detrimental to people of color, especially at the way the Trump administration is going at this.
Yeah. Patricia Jackson says Afrotech has a great platform. This is where we need to highlight, she says.
So,
Mm.
and then finally, in a new Gallup poll, they found that the percentage of respondents using AI at work ticked up during the third quarter this year. Now, the survey released on Sunday found that 45% of U.S. employees reported using AI to complete tasks at work, last quarter, and that's up 40% from quarter two. And more than 2 in 10 respondents said they used AI at least a few times per week, while 10% said they use it daily. And think about you using biased information daily. Information that the Trump administration's buddies have put together for you to use. And so I would encourage everybody too to go read Onyx Impact, the Blackout, because we think of AI as like this fun, new, innovative tool. But this Onyx, the Blackout Report, and it's the blackoutreport.org, it talks about the erasure of Blackness in this country, from jobs to politics to everything that you can think about or you didn't even think about that AI is used for. One of the key things it has been used for is the erasure of the Black experience in this country. So as we talk about AI, this has to be a critical component of how we look at it and how we address it and how we discuss it. Because AI, although it's innovative, it's also being a part of the erasure of the Black experience in this country and the Black gains in this country.
Wow. Yep. Wake
and
up.
we'll continue to talk about AI. There it is, the Blackout Report. You definitely have to go look at it. And see, that's what I'm saying, Nancy Wall. It's bigger than an app. AI is bigger than an app. We need more AI apps, true to say, but this conversation is huge.
Yeah. Onyx Impact is what it's called, Dr. Marilyn. Onyx Impact, the Blackout Report. You shouldn't have any problems finding that at all. So, yeah. And Dr. David Child said, Niele is preaching this morning, dropping science. The extreme importance of the AI conversation cannot be overstated. So many have no idea what is going on. Thank you, Black Media, and let it be known. Dropping science.
I don't understand it. I mean, because it's like it's such a huge concept. It's like it's robots. You know what I mean? It's like CPT, GPT, whatever. You know what I mean? But it's so much deeper. It's so much more complex than that. And you pay attention to what Donald Trump is doing. First, he told the states, no, you can't regulate it. And then he rolls out this U.S. task force, and he wants 1,000 people to come in and redesign our government. Education, huh? And who are these 1,000 people? Do you think it's going to be people like us?
Nope.
Do you think it's going to be any Democrats? Do you think it's going to be anybody outside of the Klan? It's not. That is scary, folks.
Yeah.
And this is human resources. Think about it. Human resources out the door. When you submit your resume, they're using chat. They're using AI. And if your name is Shaquita, Bonisha, Loisha, guess what? I mean, this is where we're going, folks.
Terrible. Michelle Madison said, "You were right on, Niele. Niele is right on. She's taking it back to good times. Right on. Remember the audience used to say, right on.
Show enough." But we'll continue to have these conversations, and we'll definitely bring on, we're actually working with Onyx Impact, because that's how I am learning about, the detriment of AI, you know what I'm saying? And I'm also figuring out how to use it, as a producer, and working in media. There are some useful tools to AI. I'm not saying that, but it is much more bigger than we were just thinking. It's much more deeper. It's much more complex. And if you do the research on OpenAI, the ownership of it, and knowing that OpenAI low-key owns CBS, low-key owns Viacom. And all these things are related.
And who's taking over all of that? Those networks and news platforms. So
that's what we have. And last but not least, yesterday we were talking about radio. It's a lot of stuff still going on in radio. I know Master Flex, we were talking about Kimura and Russell Simmons. He jumped into it yesterday. So now him, Kimura, the baby, and Birdman, it's a lot going on. But I found an interesting story that we were talking about Ebro, we were talking about Ed Lover, but now eyes are on Charlamagne. As his 5-year deal with iHeart is set to expire at the end of this year. He signed a 5-year contract back in 2020. His contract is up. iHeart, they're very quiet. But his deal includes the Breakfast Club and the Blackout Effect podcast network, which you have, tons of shows on there, including Native Land with Angela Rye and Tiffany Cross, Andrew Gillum, and I think Bakari Sellers is on that show now. But he has like a whole network, and so it'll be interesting. I don't think Charlamagne is going anywhere. But I also find it interesting that him and iHeart have not come to a deal so close to the end of the contract. So we'll see what happens.
Wait a minute. Let me just throw this in there. They thought they couldn't be touched.
Uh-oh.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I'm saying they thought they couldn't be touched. They think it's only just Black-owned media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Ebro talked about, now we hear about all of this tension in the background and not capitulating and blah, 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 blah. I mean, he's been, he has been woven into the fabric of Hot 97 forever. With his role there led to the Apple deal and all of the other things. And so consider Charlamagne and what he was able to build out of the Hot 97, coming out of Hot 97, Wendy Williams, all of the things, baby. Listen, old girl might have made the right decision. 2 years ago now? She been doing
Angela. Well, no, it was Angela Yee. You talking about Angela Yee?
Yes. I mean, going and doing her own thing. So, I don't know what kind of situation that is, but my point is, these in the words of Dame Dash, you don't own this. You don't own it.
Okay.
You can't give it to your son. You know what I mean? Hey, I would not be surprised if the goal is to shut us all down. I mean, just think about the influence that Charlamagne and the Breakfast Club have.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, come on. And
that's why it's so bizarre. Here we are sitting at the second half of the month, close 2 weeks away from the end of the month when his contract expires, and there's been no deal. No new
mom's
contract.
the word. Mom's the word.
Generally, you don't even go into the last year of your contract. It's it's either understood that you're leaving or you have re-signed, and neither has been made public yet, or neither has happened yet, as far as we know. With Charlamagne, they haven't told him he's out, and they haven't re-signed him, so
made him feel comfortable either. And it's interesting because a video is surfacing from September where he participated in the Axios panel, and the journalist asked him about it, and he was stunned that she even knew. And he was like, I'm not answering that question. That's not what I came here to talk about. But you want to talk about everybody else's business. You want to talk about Jasmine Crockett. But now we on Yo Street. We on Charlamagne Boulevard. And you got nothing for us. And so now here we are, September. That was September.
Yeah, you cannot go into the final year of your contract and not having renegotiated yet, not having extended it or something yet. Woo.
Or maybe that he gave his offer and they have not bid on his terms.
Yeah, and it's late in the game now.
And
it's the 11th hour.
And you have to really think too. It's not just him now. He's created that Black Effect podcast network. I have a few colleagues that have shows on there. They're not as big as Native Pod, but a lot of people eat off of that Black that Black Effect podcast network. And so it'll be interesting to see, you know, what happens with that. And then just, you know, Charlemagne in general, he talks all of this stuff. And, you know, one thing about iHeart though, which I wanted to get to, was that they just announced to this initiative they have that said they will not play AI artists, and that they will not have any AI DJs on their radio. I think they're calling it the human campaign, something to that effect, the human campaign,
okay.
to where they are committed to not let AI take over the human experience that radio brings and that music brings. So I thought
Yeah.
that was a good thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a good thing. Well, the Charlemagne situation will be interesting to watch over the next week and a half, 2 weeks.
And we will
Wow.
definitely be monitoring it. Just like he monitor everybody else's business, we're going to be monitoring his.
And I'll say this too. You mentioned first before I even get to that, David Youngblood a couple of times told us he was late this morning. He also sends condolences on the death of Washington Informer reporter James Wright, whose funeral is actually coming up. I believe it's the end of this week. But you mentioned the latest with Kimora and Russell. Kimora, her latest, she says
it was weak to me.
He says, what did she say? Address or respond to your accusers or something like that. A real low, an attempt at a very low blow when she has supported him and has sworn up and down that there's no way he did anything wrong. So
yeah, she said he
needs to
was in
stop
a she actually said too he was in a you're in a country where you can't be extradited.
Yeah,
so you know, like, so shut up.
She needs to stop.
But she didn't address. But no, first she started with all lies, never been proven. Then she said, you know, face your accuser. Oh yeah, you're in a country where you can't be extradited. So I mean, but I think to me, like I think that Russell did the domino with his statement, and he don't even need to respond to her because he made it plain.
That showed her. Yeah, that show who she really is to make that comment after all these years and all this time of sticking, but nothing. Oh no, he's incapable. That's one of her words. He's incapable of doing something like that. So now all of a sudden,
think about that. Like, you know, she's been supportive of him, and you have children with this man. Unless you are now coming forward and claiming that he, you know, violated you or something like that.
Right.
How do you do that to your children?
Right.
That shows you very classless individual.
And she put in parentheses, my girls.
Yeah.
That's from, well, I'll be asking, where the money at then? You know, what happened to the, like since we doing this, you gonna do me like this?
And then it goes back to where we started the show with your video. Was Kimora properly loved by Russell?
Well, no, but what I got from that statement though, just we going back, is that being loved well before you even get in, you know what I'm saying? You know, it's like, you know, just to put it in context with Stacy, for instance, he's got daughters, mostly daughters, right? And if he, you know, he told me ain't no dating. They can even get married. You know what I'm saying?
No, I didn't necessarily say that, but
I mean, no, ain't nobody coming over here. He's guarding his daughters. He's loving them well, so that when they go out into the world and find a man, you know, that's how it is, right? You know, you look for, you know, my father was offended. You know, if I didn't bring somebody that was coming with the same level of love that he had. So, you know, but all that said, yeah, that becomes a question. I think Kimora needs to chill. She does.
And then she posted. Go ahead.
If she's dragging her children into this, shame on her.
She did. She said, she put in parentheses, my girls, which lets you know that she's probably the reason why he doesn't have a healthy relationship with his daughters right now. But she emphasized quotations, my girls.
Right, but I disagree. They playing a game, you know, talking about catfish. She's playing a game, and if I was Russell, like, I agree with you, I wouldn't say nothing. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say anything. And
Yeah,
these
to
are
me,
grown women now. These are not little kids.
but like he
Yeah.
said there are two sides. He ended with there are two sides to every story, and I think he laid out his case. He doesn't have to respond. And then she even furthers it by posting a picture with Kim Porter yesterday, basically saying, "I'm checking all these dudes for us down here."
Girl, you all over the place. Then she gonna play on people's emotion because you know how we you know how we feel about the Kim situation. Okay, all right.
Yeah, she's doing a lot. Kamora's
She's doing
doing a
too
lot.
much. Yeah, just sit down. Yeah, sit down. She deserves a donkey of the day. Charlamagne, give her the donkey of the day. All right, some Black history facts. On this date in the year 2000, seems like so long ago, President George W. Bush, I mentioned him earlier, didn't I? Nominated Colin Powell as his Secretary of State. Colin was the highest ranked African American in the U.S. government at the time. Prior to setting that milestone, Colin Powell had been appointed National Security Advisor by Ronald Reagan in 1987, making him the first Black American to hold that position. In 1989, he became the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for George H.W. Bush. He continued to serve in the position when Clinton took office, and then when he stepped down as Secretary of State in 2004, guess what? Condoleezza Rice was nominated and appointed to replace him. So there you go.
Black leadership in the Republican Party. See, once upon a time, it did exist, y'all. It did exist. But let's fast forward to the year of 2021. He was forgotten, but he will be cemented in history as Richard Pryor's live in concert was added to the National Film Registry in 2021. Now, the film was actually filmed in 1979, called Richard Pryor Live in Concert. So it was added to the Library of Congress of National Film and Registry on this date, recognizing its cultural, historical, and beautiful significance.
Wow, Richard Pryor, the greatest to ever do it.
Yeah, the truth teller. You know, the only person that can make fun of setting himself on fire due to drugs and make it funny.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was something else, right? To make fun of yourself. Woo, man, there he is, the one and only.
The one and only. It's good to end on a funny note.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Marilyn said he is from Peoria, Illinois. Folks, a little programming note starting on Monday. Please note that you'll only be able to get Let It Be Known on the Let It Be Known YouTube channel, not Black Press USA. So please go to your YouTube go to YouTube and go to Let It Be Known's YouTube to continue to hear and see the latest in Black focused news, and subscribe to Let It Be Known News and share a whole lot.